You're listening to the Arkansas AgCast, where we discuss the latest news, trends, and issues impacting Arkansas farmers and ranchers. Our show is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation and hosted by Rob Anderson and Jason Brown.
Well, surprise, surprise. No Rob Anderson today. We certainly thinking about him. I think he is on vacation, and I hope it's sunny and not as hot as it has been here, wherever he may be.
I hope he has zero humidity.
Well, that's probably what I should have said.
Awful.
Scorcher.
Yeah.
It's a scorcher.
We do have a special guest, although we're not going to ask him to read the news. We are going to ask him to share some commentary on it. Mark Lambert, and we'll tell you in a little while why Mark is on the show. But Mark, thank you for being here and joining us today.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Thanks. Well, one thing I wanted to share, if you listen to the podcast every week like you should, then you certainly know that we have been, we go on THV's The Vine every couple of weeks to cover a different topic that's important to Arkansas Farm Bureau. 2 weeks ago, we took a live cow, a live bull, a mini bull, on there. And when we showed up yesterday, the disappointment on the people's faces for us not having a live animal was very real.
It was a good segment though.
Yeah. So we got to talk about something that's pretty exciting, which is the backpack program that Arkansas Farm Bureau participates in across several, if not all, counties in the state. And the reason I bring that up is because, obviously we're on the heels of back to school, or in some cases already back to school. But I had to ask the question, I think of Rob last time we were on here, when we talk about backpacks, are we talking about school supplies?
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that we indeed were not. We were talking about food backpacks that go home with kids.
Yes.
Mark, are you familiar with this program?
Are those clear mesh backpacks, or is it? Yeah, I'm familiar. It kind of provides meals to those that need it.
Yeah.
Necessarily. I know. What was it? John Deere place. They were giving away a autographed edition gator.
Yeah.
For the backpack program.
Yeah.
A raffle. So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you mentioned clear or mesh backpacks, because one of the things I learned on this segment was the reason that they use backpacks is so it's a little bit, it stands in, or doesn't stick out. It's a little bit, for kids who may not be, that's something that you probably don't want everybody knowing about.
Keeps them from being embarrassed about whatever situation they might have at home, and they don't, they don't need that. It's a big deal, for a lot of these families, because that's the only place they're really getting food.
It's from school, and so I think what Jenny was saying on the segment is the purpose of these backpacks is to sort of fill that gap of the weekends or holidays or days where school is out. What's super cool, and the reason we were talking about it is your Farm Bureau membership, $40 a year, helps cover that. And that's when you're a member in your county, in my case it'd be Pulaski County, of course, but that money, you're working on the backpack program in your county, not necessarily 5 counties over or something like that. So anyway, we had some fun on the Vine, as we often do. We asked Adam and Ashley to have a race of filling the backpack up. So if you haven't seen that segment, you can check it out on our Facebook page,
Very
Twitter.
fun.
Yeah. And they raced. Someone cheated. I'll let you guys watch to figure out who that was.
It was Jenny, right?
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
You didn't go on there, did you?
No. I just show up and hang out in the background. So anyway, that being said, Mark, one of the reasons we've got you here is the Arkansas legislature has been in special session this week. Have you been involved in that?
we've been down there monitoring a few of the bills that's kind of been going. That were on the special call for the extraordinary session there.
Yeah.
So we were down there, walking the halls and making sure everything was smooth, and so we can get back to our members.
Good deal. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the news, and I think we're going to cover one of the things you guys are working on. So I'm glad to have you here. So we'll kick off today's stories with a bit of news that could positively impact Arkansas farmers and ranchers and small businesses. Thanks to having Mark here. Mark is the newest member of the government affairs team. As we told you, we would give a little bit more insight. Just a bit. We're going to have a conversation with Mark about his new role. But before we do, I want to cover an item on the agenda for that special session that we were just discussing. The potential to adopt the 2022 federal Section 179 depreciation schedule as it existed on January 1st. As it existed on January 1st, 2022. So Section 179 allows businesses to deduct the entire purchase price of new or used equipment up to $1.08 million in 2022 instead of taking the depreciation over its designated useful life. The state last adopted the January 1, 2009 Section 179, so 13 years ago, I guess, which capped the deduction at $25,000. Mike Wickline with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette wrote about this in Sunday's paper. You can certainly read more about it there. There is an issue. This is an issue that Arkansas Farm Bureau has championed for quite some time. We've heard praise for the legislature, around our office today. But Mark, there's been a change. I think as I'm reading this, as I wrote this yesterday, we were talking about the potential to adopt this. Is there an update there?
Yeah, so there is an update. I guess whenever the adjournment was today, somewhere around the 10 o'clock, and I just saw that the governor's actually signed the bill into law, so we are good to go for the tax year.
Right.
All
That
right.
is
Very nice.
breaking, dude, first time on the podcast.
Yeah, breaking
news. How
Put
about
a-
that?
Put a sign on this for breaking news now.
I mean, you put on a tie and bam, stuff just happens.
I
Yeah.
know it. Like, hey,
I should take it to the bank. I guess.
Stanley and Jared, if you're listening to this, please take note. We get Mark on this team, and all of a sudden stuff starts happening, man. I don't know. Well, congrats to you and
Yeah.
Philip and Stanley and Katrina and Hannah and Jared for making this happen. I know you guys have been working, and even before you were on this team. I think this goes back to a tax act in 2017. But anyway, so this has been moving for a long time. Arkansas Farm Bureau has long been a champion for this.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, our members, like they've tried to, I guess, put us more in line with federal regulation as well, rather than it be two different tax. You fill out your Arkansas tax return, then you fill out your federal tax return. And it's two complete opposite things, so this has been a long time coming. I think I've been at Farm Bureau for 7 years, and I've heard it 7 years is running. So
Yeah.
to more align it.
Well, if for anybody who does, so I gave a whole bunch of sort of lingo and jargon here, but for anybody who doesn't know, can you give us 2 sentences on what this means for farmers?
I guess the first sentence is it's great, and the next sentence is it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I guess really and truly, I mean, if you purchase a piece of equipment, you're going to be able to take your depreciation, but it would be over a 5-year time span. Where this Section 179 comes into play is you can take it all within the first year.
Okay.
So one, you take your depreciation in year one if you bought the piece of equipment in 2022, but on the next side of it, as a tax preparer or somebody that's preparing your taxes every year, it's going to save them a considerable amount of time, possibly, I was talking to a farmer, he prepares taxes. He was saying probably 2 hours just on the Arkansas return alone, extra.
Wow. Which means dollars back in the pocket for fees for an accountant,
right,
as well for farmers.
Yep. So,
wow.
I mean, it's a big deal. So,
yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, I know we've got a thank you post to legislators and the governor out on social media. I know we're going to be sending out a legislative update email that sort of recaps the entire general session, but this is certainly the headline of that. That's going out in the morning at 8. So, pay attention and catch up. If you don't know all the details of this, it's a pretty big deal. Brian?
Awesome. Well, I've got a story about getting veterans involved in farming.
Okay.
Specifically specialty crops. The Arkansas Department of Agriculture and Farm Credit Associations of Arkansas are partnering to provide a $1,000 Homegrown by Heroes scholarship to military veterans and active members, military personnel, to attend the Center for Arkansas Farm and Foods Farm School, also referred to as CAF.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about CAF on this show.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know, CAF is an 11-month program at the Milo Schultz Ag Research and Extension Center on the U of A campus in Fayetteville.
Mm-hmm.
The farm school combines hands-on specialty crop farming with classes in production, business, and legal issues through classroom instruction and hands-on field activities. Funding for the scholarship is provided by Farm Credit, and applications are due by September 1st. So the 2023 program starts in January, with classes and farm work scheduled for approximately 20 hours per week, Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
The scholarships are affiliated with Homegrown by Heroes, an Arkansas Department of Ag program that helps veterans market their local agriculture products by labeling them as veteran produced. We've covered the Homegrown by Heroes stuff quite a bit with several video stories, and it's a good program.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of great operations around the state taking advantage of that.
Our YouTube channel.
YouTube channel
where you
has
catch
it.
that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we try to tie that in with our own Vets for Ag initiative that we have that we've done. But if you know someone that would be interested, visit agriculture.arkansas.gov.
All right, that sounds like a cool program. We have covered CAF a couple times, a couple video stories on that too. So thanks for bringing that.
Yeah. Well, let's take a break and learn a little bit more about annual Farm Bureau membership.
Alrighty.
Your Arkansas Farm Bureau membership supports our work on behalf of Arkansas farmers, ranchers, and rural communities around the state. From youth leadership programs and academic scholarships to hunger relief and disaster support, and much more. You can make a difference and be a champion for your community. Join today at ArFB.com.
Mark, did you know that your $40 annual Farm Bureau membership, I'm sure you remember, contributes to the work being done in your local community, like the school backpack program that we talked about just a few minutes ago and on the Vine this week? You can start helping feed children in your community this week with an annual Farm Bureau membership, and you can join today at ArFB.com.
Jason, I did know that.
Yeah.
Maybe because we went over it a minute ago, but no, I know everything. I know that all the member benefits.
You're a company man.
Yeah, I was a member long before I bought insurance. So
there you go.
That's the way to do it. That's our favorite kind of member,
Exactly. Pay the $40 and you get all sorts of member benefits. Free ice skating for you and your family.
Yeah, how about it? All right. Well, let's get on back to the news. The USDA has issued its 19th crop progress report, and I'm glad we have you here for this. The 2022 growing season this week, and we've got a roundup of that data. First, let's talk about soil moisture, a topic we've covered a few times this year on the podcast. That's an improved situation overall in the state, although we're still seeing more than 40% of topsoil in a moisture deficit. The subsoil picture is a bit bleaker with more than 50% short of the needed moisture. We do have some rain chances across the state next week. I was looking at the radar right before we kicked off. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. The corn crop quality is below average for the state, with only 60% rated as good to excellent. And within that number, only 10% is excellent. This is probably a result of temperatures and drought. Mark, you can tell us a little bit more about that. But I've heard rumors of some corn cutting going on around the Grand Prairie, at least.
Absolutely.
If you started harvesting, let us know in the comments. And Matthew Magnifrow probably will want to come and see you. Moving on to soybeans, a bit better with 64% rated good to excellent. Putting it above average on the national scale, still only 14% of the crop is rated as excellent this week. Rice is faring better than both of those, with 73% of the crop rated good to excellent. According to the report, about 6% of the rice crop was mature. 73% was headed at the beginning of this week. We're sure to see some rice harvest starting soon. Mark, any predictions on when that may be?
I know breaking news, but
okay.
Soybean, I think there was a field of soybean harvested 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yep, down South Arkansas.
Yeah.
So.
Like Deshay or further?
Down around Deshay.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So
there we go.
I think some people try to get their picture on the front page of the local newspapers trying to get the first load of rice in. So
I haven't been down to Deshay County in a while, and I haven't seen a brown soybean yet. So
they were planted back in February and they were harvested. So
yeah, I talked to somebody in Monroe County yesterday who was there. They say they're probably still a few weeks out from corn, but I know people are cutting it already or close to it. Depending on if you're drying it, I guess.
Yeah, trying to get some of those early premiums on the basis. Trying to go into the mills, but they're drying it down, delivering it. So.
Yeah. All right. So there's good opportunity, huh? If you can get out there and get it done early.
Absolutely, chomping at the bit to get out there and cut the corn.
You think? All right. So not on topic, but do you think we'll be done before Thanksgiving this year?
I
or
think,
is that remain to be seen?
The big goal, kind of time frame most people try to look at is first day of deer season. They want to have all the equipment in the shed and head on to deer camp.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If they're still harvesting around Thanksgiving, don't go around.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember specifically, and I don't think he would mind, so I'll say it. Joe Thrash a few years ago was like after New Year's. But he was still going.
Yeah.
That was that year. It was so wet.
Oh, yeah.
During harvest.
Man, that was a mess.
Maybe 18? I don't know.
17, 18?
17, 18, something like that. I think it was. So, anything can happen, I guess.
We don't
knock
ever want
on wood.
Yeah, we don't want to go back to those days.
No,
there was a lot of damage and a lot of real wet crops.
Man. All right, well, let's round out with a livestock report. Only 4% is rated excellent. This is a true travesty. Only 4% rated excellent in the state, and the hay outlook is pretty bad too, and has been for a while. If you'd like to read the report that our team put out in collaboration with the U of A, we went over this report pretty thoroughly last week on the podcast. But if you happen to miss it, we've got some good numbers on there that tells you why the rain that we've received is not really helpful to hay farmers and livestock producers in the state, because they've already started to get into that winter supply. Hay quality is down, hay price is up, and we're seeing cull cow sales up at least 20% in the state. So anyway, all that data and information is in that report. You can check all that out at ArFB.com and find out.
Jason,
more.
I thought this was going to be the good news of the day. We started off on a high note, and you really drug us.
Well,
all
we
down
aren't
there.
covering it. I'm sure you've already seen this, Mark, but we aren't covering it. But inventory looks to be down. Acres in the state look to be down. So I don't know if will that be good for commodity. I should ask the economist here.
It's supply
for commodity practice or
supply
prices,
and demand
right?
here.
Yeah,
It's if I guess low supply, high demand, you're going to see your price.
$17 beans. Mark Lambert said it himself.
No, I'm not in the speculatory market. Or I would be on Wall Street. So.
All right, Brian, what do you have for
it hadn't all been bad news, but we'll wrap up the news for the day with a partnership between USDA and the U of A Division of Ag. Mm-hmm. The U of A System Division of Ag and the USDA are teaming up to provide taxpayer education to farmers and ranchers. The partnership aims to provide resources for educators and tax professionals who work with rural and agricultural clients as well. The first phase is focused on agriculture-oriented taxpayer education, an effort called the Taxpayer Education and Asset Protection Initiative. The second phase is focused on outreach for the Conservation Reserve Program's Transition Incentives Program. You see, Mark, I always get the real long titles on everything.
Yeah, it's a USDA program.
Yeah, alphabet soup.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, this helps with access to land for beginning and socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. Many producers don't know that USDA program funds they receive for conservation contracts, disaster assistance payments, and pandemic relief are taxable income, and they need help with short and long-term business planning associated with their program payments, according to the USDA. So this project will also include a suite of online resources for producers, continuing education opportunities for tax attorneys and CPAs, as well as cooperative agreement funding and training opportunities for stakeholder organizations.
Nice. So I think I read that Ron Rainey is developing the curriculum in the first phase of this, and probably might want to include something about that new Section 179 in there. Let CPAs know.
Absolutely. I guarantee it's on their radar. I mean, if you filled out a federal tax return on your federal stuff, you've done that, but you get to the Arkansas side, and it's they're scratching some numbers out. Yeah. But now it's money back to them.
Yeah. Well, that's good stuff. Good one. That's a good one. And a big deal. USDA chose University of Arkansas to partner here, so nice to have that program sort of living at home here. Well, it is my extreme honor to officially welcome. We've had him chatting with us throughout the show, but my friend and the newest director of state government relations and public affairs to the Arkansas AgCast, Mark Lambert, also new dad. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you.
Both new. So
yeah, I know. All kinds of new going on in your world.
A lot of new.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for joining us. I want to have you on the show to talk about a little bit about your new role. Now that you've been with Arkansas Farm Bureau for a number of years, 7, I think you mentioned earlier. But that time has also been spent in the role of economist and checkoff administrator. So this is kind of a new look for you. So, but before we get there, I'm interested. Can you tell me a little bit about, how you began your career in agriculture and eventually made it here to Farm Bureau?
Yeah. So, I guess how I began my career in agriculture is, one, I came from a rural part of the state in Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Yeah, born in Stuttgart.
Born and raised Stuttgart.
First check on the list.
Yeah. The rice and duck and mosquito capital of the world. So, growing up in Stuttgart, I was always outside working on farms. This isn't child labor law here, but I think I started working on farms when I was 12. Barely big enough to hold shovels. So I did that, and then went all through high school, kind of focused on ag. Knew I wanted to go into ag business. I went to the University of Arkansas, got into ag, majored in ag business. I actually received a couple scholarships from Arkansas Farm Bureau for being an Arkansas Farm Bureau member.
Oh, okay.
So, within that ag college, and they kind of helped me along and I guess get to my career, mastered in economics. And then I was working on a large row crop farm in East Arkansas for, I think, 9 years. It was a rice farm, and then we would do conservation work, getting ready for duck season. And then got out of college, went to go work for a John Deere dealership. So kind of felt my way around the farm community.
Yeah.
Made a couple of relationships out there. Then left there, went to go work at Riceland Foods. And interestingly enough, I was in their sustainability program, kind of on the ground floor, and a really, I guess, being on the ground floor of that program, you kind of saw the ins and outs and what the whole entire company. And so it was pretty interesting there. And 7 years ago, I came to Arkansas Farm Bureau, and here I am. So
yeah, good deal. Well, we're I mean, obviously glad to have you. You and I got to work together a little bit before I came to Farm Bureau.
Absolutely.
I'm curious. What do you remember your first job on the farm? You talk about being out there when you could barely carry a shovel.
Yeah, so I was putting in levee gates.
Oh,
and so my brother and my parents kind of saw it as in the summertime we weren't just going to sit inside and watch TV.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to have any money to do anything, they were like, "Well, you can go get a job." And so I was pulling weeds in a flower beds for a while, and I said, "Man, this is not fun at all. My back hurts." And so a guy approached us, and we started putting in levee gates, and we put in levee gates for the same person for, I guess, till I was probably 18,
really?
19. So
wow.
Did you start a business? Like, were you like
yeah, it was no
Lambert's levee gates or something like that?
Lambert's whatever.
Whatever needed to be done.
Yeah, whatever needed to be done. So
luckily you got out right before pigweed.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to hoe any pigweeds.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been fun at all. So I would have chose elsewhere. So.
Brian, were you fresh to agriculture when you came here? Or did you spend any time on a farm?
I spent time on a farm growing up.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So do you remember that time and sort of your first? So where you grew up in the western side of the state?
Yes.
Cattle ranching, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was dairy farm.
Oh, dairy farm. Yeah.
And my first ag jobs were some of my first jobs. Period. Baling hay.
Yeah.
Throwing
hay bales, catching hay bales, stacking hay bales.
Yep.
A couple of times forgot I was up on top of it in the barn, like, hey, don't lock me in here.
Yeah.
And feeding cows.
Yeah.
Helping milk cows. And
oh, wow. You ran the gamut then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
And other duties as a son.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I did not grow up on a farm. I grew up in St. Francis County, but didn't grow up on a farm. My great grandfather and all my uncles were farmers, and we went every once in a while. So visiting a farm is really all I ever did, and I wouldn't call it a job. But if I had to say my first job on a farm, it was smashing cotton in the cotton trailer, which was really, we thought we were just playing or wrestling and doing whatever. Really, we were pushing that cotton down to make more room.
Yep.
So that was my first job. Drove a combine for about 30 seconds. That was before GPS. So.
Yeah, and tore a bunch of stuff up.
Yeah, exactly.
And everything else.
Exactly. So, well, I guess we better get back on topic. Well, all right. So what makes you? So we talked about your new role in government affairs and on Stanley's team. What makes you well suited to take on a role working with legislators to advocate for agriculture?
So, kind of. I guess really why I took on the role, or I wanted to take on the role, is working with some of the checkoff boards as their state agencies. I've been down there a few times, going in front of either review or audit or whatever it needed to be.
Right.
I would always go in there, and the first time. You could probably hear the crackle in my voice, and I was probably shaking a little too much.
Yeah.
But after a while, I got really comfortable, and probably 4 or 5 years ago, we started going down there and testifying on economic numbers and looking at different impacts to rural Arkansas, and I got really comfortable with it, and really and truly why I wanted to take on the role is just one to. I know this will sound a little cheesy, but give back to an organization that's given me something. So, I couldn't, like myself, I couldn't go into agriculture just due to the fact that the high cost of inputs and the high cost of getting into ag. And so, where could I help? And so being at this organization, and where would I be, I guess have more exposure to the membership, and where could I be helpful the most? And so I decided, I think this would be a good opportunity. I could help out, and plus, I mean, I feel, I have a great understanding of agriculture as a whole, and kind of what the rural world looks like.
Yeah.
My wife always jokes at me, and whenever we go down to Stuttgart, we're driving through town, or I go to Hazen or wherever it may be, and we always everybody waves at each other, and she's like, "How do you know everybody down here?" And so I'm like, it's that's just rural way of life. I mean,
really.
You know what their vehicles look like. You know what they're doing on the weekends. So,
yeah.
And that's really why I decided to take on that role. So.
Yeah, well, I think I know that team's gonna be glad to have you. The one of the things you didn't mention that I get to work with you on some is media relations, and working with the media to sort of tell that rather economic story to folks. So you become you develop really well as a clear communicator, and being able to explain and paint the picture of why something matters to our agriculture, or why it could impact agriculture. You've done a good job. We mentioned last week on the show, the reporter from the London Times who was here, you sat down and gave him sort of an economic landscape of Arkansas agriculture. And, you've really done a great job of that. And I know that certainly aspect of your career will be an asset to Stanley's team. Or are you going to keep your side hustle of selling your duck hole coordinates?
No one can have my duck hole coordinates. I make sure.
If you don't know, Mark has all these duck holes like penned, and he'll brag about them often. But
you'll never get those.
You'll never see them.
Pry them from my dead cold hands.
Like two-factor authentication for that app on his phone.
Yeah, make sure every time I turn my phone in, it's completely wiped clean.
Well, this week you launched in feet first, I would say, with a special session, and of course, we've got a general session coming around the corner in January. But tell me what that was like. Did you learn anything, experience anything unique? How was that spending your first few days on the job down at the Capitol?
Yeah, so I guess the governor set out in his call, and he set out income tax, the school safety, the really, I guess, just income tax in general, corporate tax, individual, and then Section 179 in your school funds. And the neat thing is you go down there and you kind of know the process a little bit, but in the special session, it kind of felt like everybody was really trying to get out of there as fast as possible, get things done so they can all go back home. So I guess it was really fast paced. We were walking up the stairs to the house one day, and they just adjourned about 30 minutes after they gavelled in, and they it was a straight line straight through there, and looked at Philip, and it's like, I don't think we're going to get through here. We might as well just go and walk back down. So it's, you, I guess, learn a few things, and everybody's down there just trying to get things done to better Arkansans.
Yeah. Well, to prove to your point, I mean, they passed that legislation this morning, and the governor signed it before we started this podcast at 2:00. Yep. So, you brought up an important point. There was really an income tax or a tax bill all in one, right?
Right.
So if you go looking for Section 179, it's not going to be a standalone thing. Is that right?
Right.
It's part of this overall tax approach.
Yeah, it was Representative Jett. He was on the House side, and Senator Dismang was on the Senate side, and it was all all in one bill. So
Yeah.
it had the tax cuts, the credit, temporary credit, and then your Section 179. So,
Okay.
You can thank for all three right there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know. Well, if a farmer, rancher, or other industry member wants to get involved with the work that you and the government relations, public affairs team does, how can they do that?
So I guess really go to one, become a member.
There you go.
Pay your $40 and get involved in the county. Right now, we have our policy development process going on to where we develop our policy. It goes to resolutions. It's vetted by the resolutions committee, and then it goes to our annual convention, and it's adopted in our policy, in which I guess some people call it our policy book. Most people call it our Bible. So that's what we can get involved in. And somebody from Chico County problems, they have holes in the roads and trying to get access to the elevators. People get frustrated throwing rocks from 18-wheelers, whatever it may be. Those problems in Chico County may be the same in Miller County, maybe the same in Craighead, Mississippi, in Benton County. So everybody's problems are the same, even though we're all from different, I guess, places in Arkansas or different walks of life.
Yeah,
so, that's the neat thing about our process here at Farm Bureau. And if a farmer and rancher wants to get involved, go to the counties, go to the county offices, get involved. It's, I guess, get on a county board, and stay involved. That's where you can make the biggest impact.
Yeah. When you get a call from somebody like Mark asking you to call that legislator and let them know why a certain topic matters or how it impacts you, make that phone call, send that email, do what it takes. I know
we're right in the middle of our policy development process right now.
Yeah.
We just really kicked off that season, before we even make it to resolutions. So we're meeting on the county level right now.
Yeah, a lot going on there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're working, Brian and I and the rest of the PR team, we're working right now on a road safety campaign called Cultivating Safe Roads. That was a result of of policy.
Right.
In December at State Convention, Jackson County, I believe, introduced a policy that requested a PR campaign addressing farm equipment and road safety.
Absolutely.
I mean, to your point, this could be, the topics are kind of pretty endless, and so we've done that. We're doing that.
It was a sprayer, agricultural sprayer pulls out on a highway and gets rear-ended by a car or something, and that's kind of where that policy came from. Is one, it helps out everybody to the ag community. The sprayers don't go 70 miles an hour. They go maybe 30, 40 miles an hour if you're lucky. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, good. I appreciate you sharing how folks can get involved. Well, let's have a little bit of fun before we get out of here. Just a few short weeks away from football season. I know you've been thinking about that. You're a U of A graduate, and an avid fan, I would call you. You have a huge canvas of the field right behind your desk.
Absolutely.
So I'm just curious, what's your prediction for the Razorbacks this year?
I was actually just having that conversation. We have the soybean board auditor in here, and he's an avid Razorback fan as well. And
okay,
he was saying 8 wins, and I said, I'm gonna get into the Kool-Aid, and I'm searching for 10.
Oh my goodness!
So
all right,
I think we'll be pretty good.
Yeah. So. Well, Sam Pittman earned himself an extension in the off season. It's not a sports podcast, but sometimes we try and pretend like it is one. All right, so 10 wins.
Yeah.
All right, mark it down.
Yeah,
nice.
But
August 11th.
Yeah, ask me about 4 wins in if we've or 4 losses in. I'll
What did somebody tell me the other day that they predict the Razorbacks will be undefeated when Alabama comes to town.
I don't know. We got a pretty tough schedule.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
The schedule makers really don't like us. So.
Yeah. Well, last question. You're a new dad, and I'm curious, what's your favorite part, or you can tell me sort of the biggest challenge, the biggest life change being a dad so far?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a challenge or whatever. It's just kind of juggling the schedules.
Yeah.
I guess my favorite thing, and my wife kind of gets jealous of me. I feed her every night and put her down. It's the last time.
Yeah.
I guess whenever until morning, and so she'll always fall asleep on me, and then I put her down. Wake up in the morning. She's usually pretty happy in the mornings, but she'll start cooing, and you can talk to her, and my wife says I don't pay any attention to her anymore, and I just sit there and sing to her.
You just play with the baby.
Yeah. So.
Well, you look like well rested. I mean, you must not have the night shift.
No, she took after her mother, so she sleeps all night. The biggest challenge was those 3 a.m. wake up calls, and then you go in there, feed her. It's 4 o'clock. Your alarm goes off at 5. And that's a little
tough.
rough.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know how many times I've fallen asleep. And you're a grandfather, so you've been through this recent. Well, you
6
got a
times
new baby.
Over.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember going in to feed or change a diaper or something in the middle of the night and waking up in that chair like, oh, how'd I get here?
Yeah. I was just up there a few days ago.
Yeah.
She's 3 weeks old and
my goodness,
sleeping on my chest. It was great.
Yeah. So are you a hands-on grandfather?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Your diaper changes, everything.
Yeah.
I
let Star do the diapers when I was up there this last time. But yeah,
you're one of those guys.
No, I've
it's still formula or milk. Yeah,
look, I've dove right in and done them, and walked out and look around. And you're like, come on. Yeah, I've done all that for sure.
What's your grandpa name?
Gampy.
Gampy.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good one. I've not heard that one.
We are Gampy and Gammy. So
okay, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
pretty good one.
Yeah, it's my parents' very first grandchild.
This is the first one. Okay,
yeah, be spoiled rotten.
Completely. They just got back from Las Vegas, I guess last week, and they brought in a big sack of clothes for her that they bought for her. It's like,
of course,
it's like just souvenir city around my house. So.
3 changes a day, pretty much.
Some diamond-studded onesies.
And whatever she needs.
That's great.
So.
That's great.
That's awesome, man. We're glad to hear it. Well, Brian, do you have this day in history for us?
Yeah, I got a few.
Right.
And as I was looking them up, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember some of that stuff. In 1994, this was the kickoff of the Major League Baseball strike, the labor strike that they had.
You say 1994, and my head goes straight to music.
And my head goes straight to the 1994 National Championship.
See, all three.
Right. It was
three people, three different.
It was a good year.
Yeah.
Except for baseball, that was we didn't have a World Series.
The strike was a big deal. Yeah.
But also baseball. Babe Ruth in 1929, he hit his 500th career home run.
Okay, this is the second 500th career home run that we've talked about on the show. Hank Aaron was before, I think.
Yep. Carl Lewis became the third track and field athlete to win 4 gold medals.
Okay, yeah.
In '84, and 1964, the Beatles, their feature film "Hard Day's Night" premiered, and that was kind of their. It's now considered a classic, but
that was another national championship year.
Yeah,
for football. That was the last football, wasn't it?
It was great.
Yeah. I wasn't around then.
I wasn't.
I don't know
either.
that you were around for '94.
I was 4.
See Hard Day's Night.
I did not.
Okay. Were you not are you a Beatles
did see.
fan?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I did see 1964.
Okay.
As the Beatles, they're a Beatles cover band.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, they're incredible.
Really?
Look and sound just like them. They're awesome.
I have to watch for them to come through.
They used to tour around the state all the time. They probably still do.
I was going to say, I bet you they play on Walnut Ridge. Walnut Ridge is sort of locked into that identity with the Beatles since they had to land there on accident.
Right. And last one I had this day, I couldn't believe it when it happened, but in 2014, this is when Robin Williams died.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
That was 14?
It was in 2014.
Man, I feel like that was like 2018. It's crazy.
Yeah, it seems like it just happened.
It just
8 years ago.
Anyway,
time flies when you're having fun.
That's right.
Wow.
For sure.
Mark, thank you for making time to be with us today.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me. I enjoyed it.
Brian, thanks for picking up the extra workload.
Yeah.
As always.
Pleasure.
You always do a fantastic job.
It's lots of fun.
Well, that wraps up the news for this week. Thanks for following along with the Arkansas AgCast. We're grateful to you for taking the time to watch us and listen.
Yeah, and remember, you can listen and you can catch the live stream every Thursday at 2 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube and Vimeo. And make sure that you turn on your notifications so you'll get a notice when we go live. As always, you can listen to the audio version later on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, so happy Friday if you're listening. The Arkansas AgCast is brought to you by Arkansas Farm Bureau, hosted by me, Jason Brown, and today, Brian Pistole, with our guest, Mark Lambert. Our show is produced by Brian Pistole and Matthew Magdafrau. And, I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Thanks.